former seat of the British Solomon Islands government, presently occupied by the Japanese. Tulagi, 4,000 yards long, 1,000 yards wide, with a hogback ridge 350 feet high commanding its entire length. We will land on the western coast, deploy across the width, then move southeast. The enemy is here. Some say 1,700. Others, 8,000. Today is August 7th, 1942. By tomorrow, we'll know the real answer.
Here is your host, General Holland M. Smith, former Commanding General, Fleet Marine Force, Pacific Area, United States Marine Corps.
The Tulagi, Gavutu, Tanambogo operations were simultaneous with the first landings on Guadalcanal. We needed Tulagi for its excellent harbor. To achieve this, the operation was planned in 3 phases. A landing near Halita on Florida Island to protect the left flank of the main thrust. The seizure of the main objective, Tulagi, and the capture of the twin islands of Gavutu, Tanambogo. Tulagi offered a serious tactical challenge. To begin with, it is completely surrounded on 3 sides by coral reefs, and the Japanese fortified the island with this in mind. They placed their defenses on the east and southeast, the only places where a normally intelligent enemy would attack. But Admiral Gormley and General Vandergrift evaluated the potential loss of a frontal attack and decided it would be too costly. We had no men or materiel to lose. If another beach could be found, we could achieve 2 valuable assets: tactical surprise and absence of enemy resistance. Although the supply of amphibious craft was inadequate, and 12 of those available were not for duty, they chose to cross the reef on the western coast of the island, about 2,000 yards below the northwestern extremity, near the site of a small cemetery. The Japanese had explored such a possibility, but had dismissed it on the grounds that only a crazy man would try such a landing. For a while, it appeared they might be right.
It is 7:20 a.m. Marine flyers straight and bomb, clearing the way. The San Juan and Buchanan add covering fire, while the Monson pours 60 rounds onto the promontory point of Florida Island, where our buddies of the 2nd Marines, commanded by Captain Edward J. Crane, are landing. It is 7:32. For us, this is baptism of fire. Our thoughts are sealed beneath the tenseness of the hour. The reef they warned us about is just ahead. We are stuck. Of the 8 boats in the assault wave, none reaches the shore. So we wade. But the attack planned by the officers, has achieved complete surprise. We do not lose a man in the surf or to enemy action. We probe cautiously, but quickly. Company B, 1st Raider Battalion, climbs the hogback. Goes down the far side and occupies the village of Sasapi. We move forward for the rest of the morning, until 11:20, that is. Company D and Company B are joined by Companies A and E. They are most welcome. Our free advance is over. From here in, we fight.
Colonel Edson ashore maintained contact with Brigadier General William A. Rupetus, Assistant Division Commander. Near Hill 280, C Company ran into heavy fire from automatic weapons. It took an hour, but C Company cleared them out. But Hill 281 was another matter. At 12:40, Colonel Edson called for aerial and naval support. The San Juan complied. In 7 minutes, she poured a 280-round concentration of 5-inch fire into the designated target. 4 hours later, the enemy broke contact and withdrew.
Our first day of battle is drawing to a close. Shortly before dusk, we come upon a deep ravine running east and west. We anchor our company lines upon its perimeter and dig in for the night. Intelligence officers scan material captured or recovered from the enemy dead. And an interesting thing is revealed. We are camped upon the edge of the hard core of enemy resistance. It comes, what we've been expecting. Banzai. They strike in force between A and C companies. Our forward position is thrown back into company lines. C Company is isolated by the attack. A Company has to refuse a dangling flank. We are somewhat confused, but we are not dismayed. They change direction of thrust and strike at A Company's exposed flank. They throw the book at us. We get the message and send it back. We are green, but we are stubborn. They retreat, leaving 30 dead at the very muzzle of our guns. 2 more attempts are made to crack us. Then, individuals infiltrate to the very walls of the command post. the light of dawn shows how they fared.
The final assault to wipe out the enemy was fast-paced. Companies E and F, 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, took up positions on the northeast slope of Hill 281. The other companies on the perimeter of the ravine. The raiders poured heavily concentrated 60-millimeter mortar fire into the area. The 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, opened up with their heavier 81-millimeter mortars. The concentration continued until mid-afternoon. Then,
by dusk, it is finished. Tulagi is ours. From Gavutu, Tanambogo comes the faint echo of that battle. We wonder how our buddies of the Parachute Battalion are faring.
Parachute Battalion on Gavutu, Tanambogo had encountered stiff resistance from the start. From Hill 148 on Gavutu and Hill 121 on Tanambogo, the enemy commanded every approach to either island. Since fewer than 1,000 yards separated them, crossfire could be used at all times. The northeastern coast of Gavutu was chosen. We could not avoid the frontal and flanking fire, as there was no possible way to achieve surprise. Gavutu and Tanambogo dominated Tulagi Harbor, and we had to capture them.
To neutralize enemy firepower and reduce it to its minimum effectiveness, the San Juan, in 4 minutes, hurls 280 rounds of 8-inch gunfire against Gavutu. Then, planes from the aircraft carrier Wasp take over.
But when you've blasted and pounded and blown everything sky high, you still have to call in the ground troops.
Our parachute battalion is under strength. We have only 351 men and officers to face whatever enemy we will find on Gavutu. We are armed with a few Rising submachine guns, .3 rifles, some Browning automatics, and 3 Johnson auto rifles. We are going in with 3 thin assault waves. A company, all 102 of it, hits the beach, gets ashore without casualties, moves inland without serious opposition. B company follows. 4 minutes have elapsed. They are the only peaceful minutes we are to know. They hit us at sea, on the beach, everywhere. B Company drives toward the southern end of the island. Soon they are partially protected from the enemy fire on Hill 148 and the crossfire coming from Tanambogo. 7 minutes later, C and miscellaneous attachments really get it. Nothing is for free on Tulagi. They are on our right. From Tanambogo across the 1,000-yard causeway, they fire into us. They are on our left, and they know the range. They are on the crest above us, and they lob the hot stuff down. We wondered if 351 men and officers were enough. Now we know the answer. They are not. We call on the Navy.
From the far side of Tulagi, out of sight of their target, the expert gunners of the Buchanan and Monson laid down a precise pattern of 5-inch shells. The devastating enemy fire from Tanambogo was depleting our already too small company.
This is our first battle, but instinctively we know that there aren't enough of us to bring it off without more help. The fire from that other island is...
Major Miller, who had succeeded the wounded Major Williams, realized Tanambogo had to be taken. He asked for reinforcements.
There are none. Other battle areas are checked for available troops. Guadalcanal, none available and too far away. Tulagi, all engaged or to be committed. Florida Island, Baker Company, 2nd Regiment, having met no resistance, has secured its objective and is in process of being evacuated. General Rupertus assigns them the mission. The entire company is crowded into 6 landing craft and is guided to Tanambogo. They are told that only snipers defend the island. But disaster at the hands of a friend is on the way. Naval gunfire ignites an enemy fuel dump, and in its light, B Company is cut to pieces. D Company, 4th Platoon, manages to set up 2 machine guns on the pier. Enemy fire forces them to withdraw. Ashore, Captain Crane and 30 men are also forced to withdraw. 12 are evacuated under fire. We are now without reserves, all units committed. Message from General Rupertus to General Vandegrift. Action is prompt. The USS President Hayes and President Adams will proceed with the 2nd and 3rd Battalions, 2nd Marines, from Red Beach, Guadalcanal, to Blue Beach, and report to General Rupertus for duty. By mid-morning of 8 August, they are in battle. Two tanks land on Tanambogo at 16:15. One is set afire by enemy oil-soaked rags. At a loss of 42 Japanese. I Company comes ashore at 16:30 and seizes the lower approaches to Hill 121. The 1st Platoon, K Company, charges across the causeway, and by 1700, 2/3 of Tanambogo is in our hands.
The evening of D+2 equals victory, achievement, fatigue. D+3 equals reassignment and the end of the rations brought ashore. D+4 equals the beginning of hunger for those who will stay behind to consolidate against possible enemy counterattack. For the Marines of E25, Company E, 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, D4 through D14 equals subsistence on captured rice plus 1 gallon of tomatoes. For the Parachute Battalion, it equals 1 meal per day, sans extra clothing, mess gear, necessary comforts of life and field bedding, lost when the landing craft carrying their rolls are recalled to ship during an air raid alarm, and the gear is thrown into the sea to lighten the boats sufficiently for the cranes to lift them aboard.
But the memory of these hardships will fade into dimness, losing their sharp outlines in the blood storehouse of obscurity, while the memory of the task they accomplished will continue to live and glow in the knowledge that they fought the good fight. They kept the faith with themselves, their country, and their corps. They were Marines.